the AIM Global Forum 2024, where UNIDO, the partners and the members of the forum look at how to advance the artificial intelligence in industry, in the aspects of public policy, implementation of the technology in the industrial sector, in the manufacturing sector. We would like to use the motto from the members to the world and for humanity. And under this motto, all of the activities of this week's forum take place. Uh, this morning, we would like to invite you for the session. It's called How to Promote Broader Application of AI in Industry. And the session will concentrate on advancing the artificial intelligence applications within industry through regulation and non-financial means. We will explore how legislation, consulting, and infrastructure can facilitate the development and the implementation of artificial intelligence. And our distinguished speakers will share the best practices from the institutions that they represent. And without further ado, I would like to give the floor to Ms. Anna Abramova, Director of the MGIMO AI Center, the session moderator, to officially open the session and start the panel discussion. Anna, the floor is yours.
Dear Alexei, thank you very much for the invitation, for giving the chance to discuss this very important issue that is raising for the global south, for the developed world. And also, I would like to express our sincere gratitude to the UNIDA for arranging this first AIM Global Forum, because there are a lot of forums focused on ICTs, also having the discussions on AI. But the International UN Forum with focus on AI problems, challenges is very needed, and sharing the best practice in this format would be, I consider, very precious for different countries, for different types of consumers of AI and also the producers of AI. Today, for the session, we have distinguished experts in the field, also having the national, local experience on AI development and also very broad international experience. I will take my chance to share what we have done with the UN High-Level Advisory Body on AI on the issue a bit later. But first, I would like to give the floor to Eldar Chantayev, the General Director of the Federal Center for Applied Development of Artificial Intelligence. Eldar, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Good morning to everyone. Currently, we are witnessing an unprecedented growth in the potential of AI application in variables fields, and industry also one of them. It wouldn't be exaggeration to say that every day a new AI system is introduced into different manufacturing processes. This desire to ensure the broadest possible integration of AI in production process, it's not only the private sector initiative, but also an policy of governments. There are numerous incentives aimed to supporting AI application in industry. They both have two sides, financial and non-financial. One of the main objectives of our Federal Center for Applied Development of Artificial Intelligence is to promote AI application in industry through methodological support and decision-making by Russian government institutions and also private enterprises. It facilitates the activities of the Ministry of Industry and Trade of Russia and private enterprises in introducing AI solutions and supporting high-tech transformation of Russian industry. It also consults private companies on numerous aspects of AI application, namely how to introduce it, how to maximize revenues, and how to export that AI solutions. Such support is really needed. AI applications are a relatively new area in which we don't have much experience. I believe that the lack of knowledge and information is a very strong barrier. Um, The aim of our federal center is to reduce this barrier and provide those keen to apply AI in their production with the necessary expertise. We understand the large enterprises can hire qualified staff and AI area and cope with the objective on their own. At the same time, SMEs cannot afford to obtain additional personnels. It is our mission to provide them with necessary expertise for AI transformation. It's not a secret that the more users you have, the more efficient your IT will be. We strive to promote Russian IT solutions abroad. To the end, we launched a project, the Office of Digital Attaché service. It aims to facilitate Russian companies in exporting their IT solution to all over the world. There are many companies that ask our project office for assistance. Following such an address, the office evaluates a product's export potential. If it assesses it as low, advises the company on how to improve it. The office also prepares studies for region IT markets to identify vacant niches for Russian IT products. The Federal Center participates in the development of technical standards for industry AI. Here we proceed from the objectives which is reflected in Russian strategic documents in the area of AI, namely National AI Development Strategy. It states the AI regulation should facilitate AI development rather than hinder it. The Federal Center has the necessary competence to assist enterprising in figuring out how they can apply AI technologies. We can test AI systems aimed at the industrial application and evaluate their efficiency. Our Federal Center has also developed a special AI readiness evaluation methodology for AI solutions and IT readiness evaluation methodology industrial enterprises. The latter methodology is based on how enterprises use their IT in their business processes. It covers over 114 processes, including R&D, purchase, logistics, HR, security, and many others. We are focusing on making B2B matches between developers and consumers of AI solutions. Also, we create database of AI systems that have been developed and required by private enterprises. This helps to match supply and demand. We also maintain a database of best practice in AI solutions so that all interested enterprises can access and apply their processes in their production. It opens and available for everyone. I strongly believe that expertise in the critical aspect of AI application by private enterprises. Therefore, it is extremely important that private companies receive sufficient expert support in the field of AI. This is crucial for the widespread adoption of AI in industry and other different economic sectors. I am convinced that measures to support AI should focus on providing free consulting services for all over the world and all over the enterprise companies. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much for sharing the non-financial issues for supporting the industry development.
I don't hear you.
Okay, now?
Okay.
Thank you so much for sharing your view of the role of non-financial support for the industry development, especially in the field of AI, because it is also not only production but also services. And of course, for even in the case when we see that there's the crisis of the globalization to the moment, the international trade, the export activities are very important for the both importers and exporters in all parts of the world. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise. Now, I would like to give the floor to our colleague from the largest leading metallurgical company, Unfortunately, he still didn't join. So I would take the
I'm-
floor, and I
Uh,
would like to share with my colleagues the view of what we have done within the high-level advisory body on AI, because also the questions of the industrial development, uh, the need for AI promotion, and also the capabilities challenges were also one of the important topics along our 1 year work on the final report and the recommendations on AI governance. So I would like to briefly introduce who we are and what we have done. We were the expert group of 39 members representing 33 nationalities from all 5 UN regional groups. The focus was on gender balance, the age balance, and of course, we were serving there in our personal capacity. We were not representing any international affiliation, and of course, it was the real brainstorming for us, looking for the best solutions for the AI governance. That is briefly our timeline, and we had the two main products in December previous year, the interim report governing AI for humanity, and also for the September, for the Summit of the Future, we were writing, presenting also the final report governing AI for humanity. So our research has been supported also from the Office of the Special Envoy on Technology, Amanda Gill, and his team, because without their precious support, it would be very difficult to uh, finalize and do the final report. We had the comments on the interim report, more than 250 written submissions. We had a lot of consultations, we called them engagements, and also we had 16 deep dives with sectoral focus. So briefly, what we have done, it is the introduction of the guiding principles for AI governance that will for sure influence the also use of AI in the industry. So I'm not going to read them on, so they are on the screen, but we were focusing on the human rights, diversity. Of course, we put the UN Charter in the heart of the proposals, and also, of course, in our focus were the Sustainable Development Goals and AI use for sustainability, because we all know that AI also uses resources, but it can also contribute a lot to the further developments for better of the humanity. And also, we have introduced the in the interim report the 7 functions that, in our understanding, could support and promote the AI governance for better development and usage of AI, both for the services and the industry development. And also, we here were focusing also on non-binding and binding instruments, and there is a strong request from the Global South that we should move forward from non-binding instruments to binding ones to better develop the global AI market for the benefit of all, because of course there is a large disproportion between the leading countries that are producing AI and also those who are consuming it, especially in the global south. So here are the
Please,
7.
sorry to interrupt you. I'm sorry to interrupt you. We see only the presentation, but it's not in slide mode, and we don't see if you're moving the slides.
Okay, great. I'm moving the slides, so maybe I should do it like this. It's better.
yes.
Not for the screen.
Yes,
Okay,
you're not in
here are.
slideshow mode.
No, I'm not in slideshow mode. I'm just sharing the screen with the PPT.
Oh,
So
okay.
the
So yeah, if you can press slideshow mode or just move the slides so we follow you. Okay.
Okay, so these are the main 7 functions, and I do hope that with my colleagues further we will, of course, further on go on and discuss a bit what could be done for the better promotion of AI in the industry. That were our main steps for the December, just a year ago, and then we went on analyzing what do we have in terms of existing infrastructure, existing architecture of AI governance, what are the uh, capabilities that we have in this field. So, and then we finalized our research with the proposal of the 7 recommendations that were focused on creating the international scientific panel, also supporting the governance dialogue that is very much needed, sharing the best practices in AI development, in AI applications, in AI governance. And also, it was very actively discussed within the group, the question of standards, and I do hope that the presenter also will elaborate on this topic because we have a good bulk of entities that are elaborating standards. That these efforts are done both at national, regional, and international levels, but all we need is this, just like common understanding and going further with the better understanding how AI could be applied in different parts of the world, in different cultures. Um, Also, we focusing on the development issues. We discussed a lot the capacity development network, and in our, of course, work, this was one of the main that is also directly connected with AI use for production. The discussion of the limitations in AI development, both in developed and developing countries, the risks and challenges, and what also could be done to with regard to the improving that capacity development network. We also talked about and discussed the needs for global AI fund and what could be done in terms of raising additional financial support in terms of official development assistance and in other types of financing to support the equal access to AI, the development of AI, understanding to overcome the AI literacy challenges. Also, as a huge topic, we had the the global data framework, and that is the issue that is very much debated. There are a lot of uncertainties, and also the decisions in the global transfer of data, in the creation of the data sets, and getting access to the data sets, the quality of the data sets. It is very important questions that are that need further discussions, and we do hope that within UN there will be the working group that will be focused on these topics as it was discussed and raised within the Global Digital Compact. And our final recommendation was, the 7th recommendation was the creation of AI office in order to support this active network collaboration between different UN entities, because some of them have concrete sectoral focus, others are more generally focused on AI developments. So that were our 7 recommendations. And with this, I would like to stop and go on with further discussions. In case there will be any questions, of course, I would be glad to answer. I see that Nikita Vorobyov has joined our session, and I would be happy to give him the floor. Nikita is head of health and safety of NLMK, the leading international manufacturer of high-quality steel products. Nikita, thank you very much for joining the discussion, and the floor is yours.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Anna. It's my pleasure to be here. As the representative of the industry, I guess in my short speech today, I would share some specific practical cases of using AI and digital solutions in our industry. I'm indeed now heading health and safety at an LMK, which is an international steel producer uniting over 45,000 people all over the world, including Europe, United States, Russia, and India. And we've been using AI as a part of our digital stream, which is a separate function within the company that's been here already, I think, around 5 years or so, which proposes different digital solutions for different purposes. I'm now heading health and safety, but previously also headed the environmental function within the company. And we've tested several digital solutions, which, with the use of AI, which provided, I think, magnificent effects. To give you an example, we installed several cameras around the steel plant to monitor so-called fugitive emissions. So these are not the emissions that go from the stack, from the stationary source, but that go through different imperfections in the equipment. And so we installed a machine vision that would identify those fugitive emissions on our coking battery. And we introduced this identification process into the routine of the people working on that coking battery, so that they are able to react and to stop those fugitive emissions using the fine-tuning of the equipment, so to speak. At the end of the day, we managed to reduce those emissions by around 80% using the AI solution, identifying those emissions and providing the signal live to the working personnel on the ground. So I think that's pretty much one of the key success factors, is when you are able to inbuild AI solutions into the process, into the production process, and make it a part of it, rather than build it on top of what people are already doing. That's what always creates a problem. Another example is from the health and safety department, is related to the safety of works completed, again on the ground. When moving around weights, we have the strapping on the weight that needs to be fitting correctly. And again, we used machine vision and taught it how to identify the imperfections in those strapping and give a signal again to the personnel on the floor to stop the dangerous works on the ground. That also is something that allows us to identify risks in a good manner, and to react promptly. I think the key ingredient is the prompt reaction, not just the use of AI. So definitely outside of my area of ESG, so to speak, there are other solutions, AI solutions that we use, including the right positioning of equipment, the right dosing of raw materials, right, which provide economic effect in our production. Another good example, I think, is the engineering work that we do also within the company, when we when we engineer certain new technical solution, and are in doubts between different alternatives. To give you a good example, just this summer we were on the crossroads deciding what technology to use for dust cleaning for one of our equipments, and our project team worked on several months to compare the solution, all the pros and cons, etc., using just ChatGPT. Helped us to identify 95% of those pros and cons within several minutes. So, and this instrument is now greatly used by our engineering department as a good instrument. So it does bring benefits. You need to, to build it into the process, and you need not only the AI solution itself, but the reaction of a human to that. I think that's the key success factor. I see a question in the chat. Could you please tell us what strategies can industries adopt to ensure the ethical use of AI, particularly in terms of data privacy and algorithmic bias? Ksenia, that's a very nice question. I don't have a silver bullet solution here. Well, we as a business, as a company, are of course very much concerned about data safety. So all the experiments that we run are done within the company boundaries, and we put so to say a safe data lake here for that use. In terms of data privacy, well, what I do is mostly related to the equipment and to the correct work to that equipment, the minimizing environmental impact. So I'm not very much concerned about specific people. I mean, the identities of those people, rather looking at the safety in general. I don't think that's a big issue for me at the moment, at least. In terms of algorithmic bias, well, that is what requires a lot of testing and a lot of piloting. So we will not do something. I mean. Do something on a large scale right away. We would test all the algorithms to make sure, that they are working properly and they are working on all different kinds of situations. And then only then, after a certain number of pilots, upscale that. What specific challenges can an industry face when integrating AI technology into industrial processes, and how can it address issues like scalability and workforce adaptation? Well, Yulia, in terms of scalability, that's something we'll look at right in front, right? I mean, we would not test any kind of instruments unless we are sure that, that would not be used by 3 or 4 or 5 people, given the scale of our organization. So whenever we run any kind of initiative, digital, AI, whatsoever, we always look at scalability and the macro effects of that. In terms of challenges of integrating AI, I think, the greatest one is what I already mentioned, is integrating it into the process, because there are many ideas, dozens of ideas, how you can calculate that, you can test this, but when you come to the people on the ground, they see that as an additional burden. They already have things to do. They have to produce steel, obviously, in our case. And when you offer them certain additional instruments, it's time consuming, and it creates a burden on the people. So I guess that's the challenge. And well, there's a solution to that. You have to show them that would make their work easier, but you have to prove that, and to show them cases, offer to test something. I think that's the greatest challenge, which is, you can definitely overcome that, but you need to put much effort into that. Anna, I'm done. Unless
Yes.
there are any other questions that the participants would be eager to ask.
Nikita, thank you so much. Thank you very much also for taking the questions from the chat. In case there will be any more, of course, we would be happy to forward them to you. Thank you very much for joining, and for all the clarifications that you have given. Thank you so much. So we are going on, and I would like to give the floor to Alexander Turkanov, AI governance expert, and also the expert in field of standardization, working now with ISO and IEC. Dear Alexander, thank you so much for joining. The floor is yours.
Hello, thank you. And I think this is a very important topic we are now discussing. The promotion of broader application of AI in the industry. And what I wanted to highlight in my statement here today is the importance of technical standards as I believe is a key driver for trustworthy industrial AI. So, coming from my background, I'm personally more closely interfacing with AFNOR, which I'm a member of. So this is a French association for standardization, and also on the European level, we have this standard setting bodies, which are CEN and CENELEC in particular, which are developing standards which are relevant to AI. And what I'm willing to share with you is that actually now I believe more than ever before, this topic, like the importance of developing and improving the standards on AI in Europe in particular, has become very apparent. As of course we have the pressure of regulatory obligations now coming up under the in particular the European Union AI Act, which has been in force since the 1st of August this year, and will be gradually coming into effect. And the idea here in Europe is that basically we treat AI systems as products, and as such, they require certain standards to be complied with in terms of like basic requirements to ensure that these products, when they enter the market, are safe for those who are using it. So health and safety are like the issues which take priority. Of course, the fundamental rights issues as well, which may not be as relevant for industrial applications of AI. Nevertheless, the idea here in Europe is that, for example, in regulations such as, for example, the medical device regulation or the UI Act, the legislators, the co-legislators, they set basic expectations, like the essential requirements in the law. But as far as technical specifications go, the way to implement those essential requirements that ensure public safety, individual safety, and whatnot, they are implemented normally through standards. And technical standards obviously are usually voluntary, but the benefit is that, for example, within the European new legislative framework, the supposition is that if an organization is implementing standards which are considered, for example, harmonized in the European Union area, then in particular in the case of the Act, the organization which follows those harmonized European standards obtains the presumption of conformity with the relevant regulatory requirements. All right, so this is why, at first sight, voluntary standards, voluntary for application, become very much of interest to many organizations, because this is the way for them to obtain conformity. And of course, the pan-European standard setting bodies, which, as I mentioned, CEN and CENELEC, which have a mandate to develop the standards with regards to AI in Europe, they are focusing on particular set of standards to support the regulatory requirements. And basically the idea is that if we look at even at international standards within the realm of AI, we have this understanding that AI systems need to be trustworthy, and how the ISO standards, for example, define trustworthiness is the ability of AI systems to meet stakeholder expectations. So this is certainly an important thing. And by stakeholder expectations, we understand a broad set of expectations, including regulatory expectations and the expectations which, in the case of a typical organization, may come from clients, may come from investors, may come from the governing bodies within the organization itself, from partners and so on. And the totality of those expectations in the context of AI systems translate into particular expectations towards those systems. So normally what elements are considered there based on many international frameworks, not only the ISO standards, but for example, in the case of Northern America, we can consider also NIST AI risk management framework. But in any case, in all those international frameworks, like the basic elements which under which according to which an AI system can be considered trustworthy and as a as a consequence worthy of deployment, be it an industrial setting or any other setting, that it is that the system must be safe, it must be secure, resilient, basically, and valid and reliable. So this would be relevant to most systems, AI systems, and to the extent the AI systems are interacting with people again, and maybe to the extent which the public is concerned. The trustworthiness of AI systems implies they need to be also privacy enhanced, and as previously alluded to, systems need to be we need to ensure that those AI systems have their potentially harmful bias managed within them, and the use of AI systems is accountable and transparent. So basically, these are most usually the pillars under which we understand the AI system trustworthiness. And this is enabled through standards. As I said, in the case of Europe, it would be SAN-CENELEC standard, so mostly, but more globally, it would be ISO and IEC standards. And one of the most prominent ones, also a little bit touching upon the question which was raised previously in the session, about the practices and strategies which industries can adopt to ensure, appropriate use of AI. I would highly recommend to everyone who has not been familiarized with yet to familiarize themselves with the ISO IEC 42001 standard, which has been recently passed, so last year, and it defines an AI management system. So it's a standard which falls under the family of management system standards. So, and many of you may have already been familiarized with, for example, the quality management systems, the management systems which are highly, popular in the industry as well, and which address, for example, quality aspects more broadly. Like the ISO 9000 family of standards. So, but in the case of 42001 in particular, the concrete concern is the AI system, and the standard. The standard allows basically an organization to get, which may be important, audited and certified against this standard, because not all international standards are auditable. For example, some which relate to AI have only can only act as guidance, and we have, for example, risk management guidance specific to AI systems, which is provided by the International Standards Organization. But in this particular case, the 42001 standard is very relevant in the sense that it's auditable. So an organization which has implemented the standard can then apply for an independent audit. So it can get audited by an independent organization, and which can assess its conformity with that standard and provide certain, outward assurance to the public that the organization has indeed complied with that standard. And what it is composed of course, for this matter, usually a set of requirements which go across whole life cycle of an AI system, starting from its inception and ending with decommissioning. And the standard proposes specific practices to be followed and specific expectations to be reached with regard to, setting expectations within the organizations, ensuring accountability for those expectations which are going to be met across the life cycle of the AI system, and certain organizational processes which need to be put in place or then maintained and continually improved, be it, for example, in data governance, or be it in quality management, or be it in, for example, managerial reviews of what is going on with regard to how an organization is using AI systems, and what are particular concerns which need to be addressed, for example. And there is a very useful set of controls in the annex to the standards, which I recommend to also to consider. And normally it highlights the main topic which needs to be addressed within the organization to ensure that the use of AI system development, deployment, and the use, and the final end use of AI system is responsible and ensures, as I highlighted from the start, that all stakeholder expectations are met. So, and with regard to the questions in the chat, I will try to address them to some extent. So the first question in the chat was, how can Europe collaborate with other global regions to create a cohesive approach to a standardization or regulation while respecting local concepts of values? So my belief is that in particular within the standardization context, it's quite well done on the ISO level, because as my experience shows, the same, for example, stakeholders and participants, individual experts as well, for example, participating in standard setting on AI in particular, on the European level within CEN-CENELEC, and at the same time on the global level in ISO IEC, because basically the structure of working groups and committees which we have in CEN-CENELEC mirrors to a large extent those which we have in ISO IEC structure. So I believe on the technical and expert levels there is a good possibility for an uptake, for a more global uptake, for example, so for some good practices and considerations which are coming maybe to light for the first time within the context of our work in European standards, and some of them gets translated on the ISO EC level. So as we now working, for example, on those standards, which particularly cover the UI Act, but it is not just that they will only be interesting, or like the outputs which we are coming up with at CEN-CENELEC, which it will not only be relevant or interesting within the context of European standardization. Many of the considerations which we are now considering, for example, in terms of level of risk, acceptability within the context of EU Act, may also be relevant, and the parts of standards which we are now developing on the trustworthiness, on risk management, may be quite relevant for colleagues more globally. So I believe this is a good opportunity to cooperate on a global level through, in particular, ISO and IEC technical committees on an individual expert level, and not only. And to address another question in the chat, so on the opinion on what is the impact of local versus international standards and quality assurance procedures on export of industrial AI solutions. So I would say that, of course, we need to be mindful of, the situation where any kind of a national standard would, put unnecessary burden on the possibility of, using, also solutions which are being developed in other parts of the world in terms of interoperability, in terms of basically technical barriers to trade, right? So within the context of, World Trade Organization and so on. But I believe this is the whole point behind standards more generally, that the way they are developed and the way, for example, national standards are developed, usually the expectation is that countries and national standards development organizations are not coming with any particular, ad hoc requirements which would be relevant for their country just because they want so and they want to, artificially create something. I believe if there are some, local requirements, local expectations, which may be a little bit diverging from the globally perceived expectations for AI systems in a particular region or in a particular country. So that may warrant some, nuance in national standards, but I don't think in the context of AI in particular, as it's basically more or less a global industry, and systems which are being developed are very much used throughout the world and not usually limited to any particular country. I believe it's very important to ensure that any national standards or regional standards which are being developed still follow like the more or less same logic which we can observe on the international level. This is why, for example, to give you a very practical example, when in Sensenelec we are developing now the quality management standard to support the the requirements of the AI Act in particular, we are taking stock very carefully of the standard which I have alluded to previously, 42001, which is an ISO IEC standard, right? So in terms of supporting the European standardization efforts, and in many cases also it is the case that you may want to actually adopt with minor modifications in international standards within the regional context, and it's also a possibility. So I think this is important, not to disregard, the state of the art. I would say not to disregard like what is being done internationally when you are developing your regional or national standards. So I believe that would address the questions in the chat, and I would be happy to contribute to discussion further. Otherwise, I think I've covered the main points I wanted to.
Thank you so much. And of course, this is like just the start of this conversation. So I guess for the other meetings, for the other discussions and conferences, we will be glad to go on with this, the coverage of this topic. Thank you very much, Alexander. We have also the speaker who will help us to cover the trustworthy AI challenges and opportunities. And I would like to introduce Oleg Rogov, Head of Group Reliable and Secure Intelligence Systems in IRI, and also Senior Researcher at Skoltech, or Head of Joint IRI MTUCI Research Group. Oleg, the floor is yours. We hope that we will have the chance to cover the cybersecurity and trustworthy AI challenges.
Hello, hello everyone. Okay, let me share the slides.
Yes, we see them. It's fine.
Can you see?
Yes.
Okay, great. Hello everyone. Once again, my name is Oleg Rogov, and I'm the head of the research group named Reliable and Secure Intelligence Systems at the IRI Institute. I'm also a senior researcher and lecturer at the Skoltech University and leading a joint research group with IRI and the Moscow Technical University of Communications and Informatics. So the topic of my today's talk is trustworthiness of AI in industry these days. So first, I would like to sketch out the common trends that we can find. Whether we work with computer vision, any kinds of recommender systems and intelligent decision support systems, whether it is natural processing algorithms or speech synthesis or recognition, and even AGI and perspective methods of the future. They all seem to collide with the classical cybersecurity issues nowadays, such as the data privacy, anti-fraud tasks, and network security. So, in a nutshell, what is trustworthy AI? It's the branch of knowledge that bounds both classical machine learning algorithms and cybersecurity tasks. That is, we can say that AI is actually enabling security applications, and vice versa. Security enables better integrity of products and results, enhances confidentiality and privacy, so that the data regarding the users is not leaking. And of course, it is supposed to prevent the misuse of AI. It's worth mentioning that in a recent report by McKinsey and Kaspersky Labs, they mention the emergence of new technologies and the lowering of the entry threshold for the users that is actually increasing the growth of cybercrimes, including those using a variety of AI models. So one may definitely see almost exponential growth in new types of malware that employ AI, and especially this new technology that enables the photorealistic generation of faces and massive avalanche of deepfakes in the internet, which is no longer about congratulating your pals with birthdays. So all this actually needs specific answers from us as the industry. One of the interesting points that I want to highlight in my talk is how to protect the neural networks that are launched in production by huge corporations. In fact, there is a common attack on the cloud infrastructure. Say you have developed a specific and popular model that you launch through the API interface from your protected environment. And there are two types of attack. One of them is when the attacker has the direct access to this neural network. And another one is when a potential attacker uses your API to access this model without having a direct access to the weights of the neural network. So what they can do, they can use specific holdout data and train their surrogate model and on the predictions from your model that you're protecting, and reduce the costs in this way. So what can be done? Actually, one of the solutions is to introduce specific probabilistically robust watermarking for the neural networks, where you create a digital watermark that is protecting your solution through integrity in your neural network. And such a approach that we have developed actually is capable of being transferred to the surrogate models. So one may detect whether the functionality is stolen from your company. So, this method is also robust to any kind of attacks of watermark removal. Among the trends of today, I think it's worth mentioning the large language model safety. One of the growing research interest is how to ensure that large language models comply with our security and ethical principles. And there are numerous findings that specifically generated semantic attacks, or so-called jailbreaks, that use black box access, so through the API of a company, to access the language model and change its behavior, behavior through bypassing the LLM alignment that was set during the development. So this is one of the crucial points that we're facing today. Another interesting thing is how to preserve the data purity. The problem is that almost everyone is using in this or that proportion public data that is available through the internet. And in order to increase the quality, we often use such public data sets because they're easily available and usually have large amounts of annotated samples. But here comes the issue that we have to perform certain screening of the input data to avoid certain poison samples that are getting into our model, because if we don't do this, we may let the corrupted data into our model training, and thus the attacker is influencing the efficiency of the model that a company is developing. And there are certain approaches that are effective in this task. So to sum up, I would like to say that new issues arising, they're quite interesting, and they have exact practical application for the developers. And these methods have definitely fundamental applied mathematics basis under them, and still they're applicable in industry to foster safer AI environments for all the users. So thank you, and if you have any questions, please let me know.
Oleg, thank you so much. I just have a brief question to you regarding what you have just shared with us. What are the main cybersecurity challenges that our critical infrastructures are facing to the moment? Maybe just if briefly name out them.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I would say that it's mostly IoT security and the convergence of IoT and large-scale AI solutions, because we're frequently using so-called federated learning, where we can split the training into certain parts and the endpoint computers. And this raises the issues of data privacy and leakage. This is one thing. So IoT has to be accounted for. And the second point is that the regulations that are being developed, they are somewhat tightening. And this means that the accountability of the developer is getting personal. And I think that's a good point, because this means that the area is near to its saturation, and we have a good understanding on how we should approach all these issues. We have the working instruments to address these challenges, and we know how to prepare the legal foundation for these things as well.
Thank you so much. I don't see at the moment any questions in the chat. And as I see, we have taken all the time that was given for this session. So I would like to express my sincerest gratitude to the speakers, the ideas, the points that they have stressed out and shared. And I do hope that we will also have the chance to go on in these discussions at the other forums that are having the ICT focus, the AI focus. Thank you so much. I would like also to express the gratitude to the organizers and also to the audience who was interested in the discussion, who asked the questions. So dear colleagues and dear friends, thank you so much, and I do hope to meet you again for further discussions at this broad topic, because AI in industry, AI in services, it is challenging, but it's also gives a lot of opportunities. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Anna. And with that, we would like to thank the organizers of this session and all of the organizations that presented today. So MGIMO AI Center, the Federal Center for Computer Science, NLMK, Skoltech. And I would like to say that UNIDO remains committed to supporting the development and implementation of artificial intelligence technologies to drive industrial growth and innovation. And we encourage all stakeholders to continue working together, share best practices, and explore new opportunities for cooperation, just like we did throughout this session. Thank you so much. Looking forward to see you in the other sessions of the AIM Global Forum Week. Thank you.